All right, so on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, I've got Miss Jaylee with me. How are you, ma'am?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Everything's good. Just chilling and just doing and living life.
I hear you. Same. Just trying to hang in there and truck through it.
Right. So I'm going to start my interview by asking you, when did you fall in love with wrestling?
I would have to say I think I was like 5, maybe 6. When I was around that age, my dad used to work for WWF at the time. He did security, so he used to travel with them, and so I used to be able to go backstage and everything like that when I was around that age. So that's when I probably like fell in love with it. I was always like beating my sisters up, trying to like pretend that I was a wrestler. So yeah, it was really early for me.
So your dad actually did security for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
it was awesome. He used to travel with them when we were like young kids. By the time we got a little bit older, he kind of stopped just so he could be around more. Um, so obviously it was more like rest, like weekends that he was gone, but then there was like, Monday nights and everything like that. So yeah, he used to do that and used to do security. And him and one of his buddies did it all the time. And that was his job for a little bit. And then again, when we got a little bit older, he kind of stopped doing it just to be home more. But yeah.
Okay. And you said you used to beat up on your sisters. How many sisters do you have?
I have 2. I'm the middle child. So I'm an older and a younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the smallest of my sisters still to this day. Like I'm the shortest and just the smallest. And so, yeah, I used to try to beat them up all the time. Like we used to put wrestling moves on each other. My dad was always teaching us how to defend ourselves and like self-defense. And then we were in like karate and everything like that. So yeah, we were always practicing on each other. We were each other's test dummies. So I still try to beat them up now, but
That's
too
funny.
much.
That's funny considering like my sister, we never really played that rough for real because our parents never allowed us to really fight. So we
Yeah.
would watch wrestling, but we would never like emulate anything because my parents kind of took the whole idea of don't try this at home very seriously. So we didn't do anything like that. Plus, my sister grew up to be really tall. So she's
Yeah.
like 5'9". So it's just, and she's the fighter of the family. Like she's more likely to get to fight with somebody other than me.
Oh yeah.
So it's just so that's just kind of how it turned out for us. But we did still love wrestling, so we still do to this day. So we're just fans of it, and then it just grew into something else for me. So
Yeah.
when exactly did you decide to pursue it as a career?
So I decided it was probably about 4 years ago is when I started. And I really wanted to do it before then, but I feel like you really have to have a thick skin in this industry. And when I was a younger, like in my teens, like when I was like 18, I wanted to do it, 18 to like 20. And my dad, of course, like when he was working, WWF, like the women's wrestling was a little bit different. So he was like not for it at all, thinking it was still the same because he hadn't watched in years. But I think that I don't think I was confident enough in who I was, and I probably couldn't handle the stuff that you get on social media and like stuff you get from fans at that time. So I did wait a little bit. I've always wanted to do it, but I think I waited to the right time. I was about, I think 25, 26 when I started. And that's a lot older than a lot of people start, but yeah, I definitely have always wanted to do it, but I just waited until, I was confident enough to, and I was like, never, now's the time. So if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I just kind of, bit the bullet and just did it.
Okay. So basically you did mention how you had some activity in the past learning karate and stuff like that. So how exactly did you pursue, your training, and who did you end up finding, and what were like the best lessons that you learned from them?
So I live in Louisville, Kentucky. So OVW's here. So obviously OVW is a really big name for wrestling, and of course used to be WWE territory and then Impact. So that's where I just started. It has a really good reputation, a lot of good wrestlers and, people who came out of it has made it. So it, with me living here, it wasn't really much of a question. I was definitely going to do there. The lessons that I think I've learned from there is it actually made me into the person that I am. So it taught me some really hard lessons, like that you can get through anything as long as you put your mind to it, because training was really, really, really hard. There were some days I wanted to quit and give up, but then at the end of the day, not everybody can do this. And, that I felt like I was talented in it. So it definitely taught me a lesson just to, really never give up, and to just, go for your dreams, because if you don't do it, you're never going to know. And then you're always going to be questioning, what if? I'd rather say like, hey, I did this, I tried it, it didn't work, I didn't make a career of it, than not trying it at all and then wondering for the rest of my life and kicking myself when I'm older, because when you're older, you can't really do too much of physical activity like that. So, but yeah, it taught me a lot of lessons. I've made a lot of friends out of it. OVW is a really good place to start, because you learn TV, and everything like that. And they have really good training.
That's really amazing that you said that, because you said you were in Kentucky and that's where I went to school. I didn't
Really?
go, yeah, I went to Berea College.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so it's just like, it's so funny when people mention Kentucky and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's home number 2.
Yep. Yep.
Because
It's my home.
yeah, because I'm from Alabama originally. So I left, and went to Berea, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. So anytime I hear anyone talk about that in wrestling, it's just kind of like, oh, Kentucky.
Yeah. Your heart's here. Kentucky's
Yes.
a good place. I mean, I've moved all over. And then I moved back here, like right before I started wrestling, because my sister had kids. So I wanted to be around them growing up. But yeah, Kentucky always gonna have a special place in my heart. It's a good little state.
Yeah, it is. I definitely miss it because I hadn't been back in a while. So
Yeah.
I think at some point I will, make it back. So you did mention about having the confidence and to do it. So were there any other obstacles that you faced in terms of your training of trying to become a wrestler?
I definitely would say public speaking. I've always kind of been like someone to like always like stand out and everything like that. Like when I was younger, my dad always, you're going to be famous one day, because I was always in front of the camera, always doing something to like have the spotlight on me. But speaking in front of a lot of people, like when you're doing, in-ring promos or anything like that, was a bit scary for me. So that definitely taught me a lot with that as well. And it helped me get over that. It's talking a room full of 5 people or hundreds or thousands. I think when I was at OVW, when I was in the It Girls, that was like one of my most fun characters that I did there. And that was basically all that I did. I was a mean girl and I bullied everybody there. And so I did promos probably more than I wrestled. And I was the champion at that time. So that definitely helped me, because I remember my first day, they're like, oh, you're going to do an in-ring promo in front of like, all your classmates. And I was just like, crap, I don't want to do this. I was like, wait to the very last. But now, like, I feel like too, once you're in character and, you're in the mode, like that's a totally different feel, because I can be nervous as heck. And then, I step out of that curtain, have that microphone, and you're good to go. But yeah, that definitely helped me a lot with that.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I would watch or hear about people do promo class, even at the Performance Center with WWE now, it's just sort of like some of them either come already with the knowledge of knowing what it is to speak, or some of them come without it. And they talk about how scared they were and stuff like that. And I just imagine myself, as much as I love to talk, and even though I do commentate, I just remember being scared, even though when you commentate, nobody really hears you for real. It's just the
Right.
fact that you're doing it and you've never
Yeah,
done it before. You've only ever heard it done. And so it's
exactly.
just like being able to do something like that. It's like you're really putting yourself out there in a very vulnerable place.
for
So it's
sure.
just, so it takes a lot of courage to do that. So but I'm glad that you were able to sort of push past that, in order to sort of develop yourself as a star, because it takes a lot to put yourself out there.
It does. And I will tell you, like, promo class is a lot more scary when you're doing it in front of your fellow peers that are wrestlers that know what they're doing and know, like, that you're in promo class than it is when you're out in front of a crowd, because you're in your zone, when you're out there. So yeah, it's definitely more scary in training than it is out and about and out in front of a crowd. But yeah, you definitely have to put yourself out there. Especially like when our promo class, like I trained under Rick Rogers. He was like one of my main trainers there, and he would sit there and listen to you and give you feedback. And he's like, love him to death, but he's an intimidating trainer. He's a great trainer. But he's going to tell you, he's going to call you out. But if he does, it means he likes you. But yeah, he was always in there. So I was like, oh, every time he was in there watching. Now, like, I mean, that was the beginning of it. Now, like, if he was in there, I'd be like, whatever, it's Rhett. He became he's like my dad in wrestling. Don't tell him that because he doesn't want to feel that old. But but yeah.
Interesting. So you did, how exactly has the independent scene sort of treated you as you've sort of matriculated and became more of a performer?
So obviously there's good with the bad. I've been very lucky that everywhere that I've wrestled on the independent scene, minus maybe a few where I felt very welcomed. And yeah, I mean, I've had really good experiences. I haven't ran into any like yucky people or anything like that. Like, but I like to do my research about companies before I go and work for them. I like to have and to be around people that have a really good reputation. I just don't want to put myself in a sticky situation. Like, you've heard so many people, like, just been in bad situations, not only as a female, like even a male talent. So yeah, I've been treated really well on it. I haven't been on the independent scene too long, right when I left OVW. So it's going on like 2-3 years that I've been on the independent scene. And then of course, COVID kind of, that whole year of 2020 kind of stopped a little bit, but yeah, I can't really complain about the independent scene. I've had a blast doing it.
Okay, well, it's good that you had a great experience with it. So you did mention how COVID just sort of put a stop to everything in terms of the whole world, but it definitely in terms of wrestling too. So how were you able to cope with that, last year?
It was really, really tough because I had a lot of momentum building up for me. I was everywhere. At that time, I was like constantly working with WWE. I had a tryout lined up, all that stuff. And then it kind of just, it halted everything. I went from having bookings every single weekend to I couldn't even tell you when my next one was going to be because everything was just, I mean, the whole world was shut down. Kentucky was really strict about what we can and cannot do and go and everything like that. So it was really tough because once you go from having that momentum and that being a part of your life to like not having it at all. And I mean, even like when you're watching on TV, like WWE and like AEW and like Impact, they were still wrestling, but there was no crowd. That's a whole different like ball game when you're wrestling in front of like no one. It had to be really tough on them as well, like going from a crowd to nothing. I just think as a performer and wrestler, it was probably just for everyone. It was weird. It was tough and it was really, really weird. So I think just, trying to stay positive and in a good mindset is how I kind of really got through it and just knew like this was only temporary and it was just for everybody's benefit to stay safe. So I think that's kind of how I got through it. And then I changed my character up a little bit through COVID and, through lockdown and everything like that. So I think I really focused on that.
Yeah, a lot of people, found different ways to cope, like with social media or with, selling their merchandise and different things like that. So it's good to know that you were actually able to stay positive through it all, because that's really all you could have done, during that phase. It was a really weird time. And it
was.
still is a really weird time. Like,
it is. There's nothing we can do to change it, unfortunately. Like I try not to stress about stuff And I say that because I do, but like I try not to stress about things that I can't change, because at the end of the day, what am I going to do? You know, like there's a pandemic, like you can only do so much. Like this is going on, it's happening. There's nothing I can do to change it. If I'm just going to sit here and like mope and be negative, like, I mean, you're still got to live your life. So I just really tried to like, hey, I'm healthy. My family's healthy. You know, that's all that really matters. It makes you like appreciate, you know, what you do have in life, because social media and everything, like all the fast paced stuff can really like, you can forget that, you know, and forget the small things. So I really got to enjoy like the slow pace of things. I am not like a person who's like not doing anything ever. I'm always on the go. So it definitely made me appreciate like slow down, take a breather, and really enjoy life, because you never know when something's going to happen, it's going to end. And
Right.
you know,
You're definitely right about that. It's a great philosophy to have. So, what are some things that you enjoy doing outside of wrestling? Like, are there any TV shows that you're watching or binging, or is there like any other hobbies that you have outside of that?
well, I used to be a cosmetologist, so I really enjoy doing makeup, and doing different like fun looks, and fashion. I'm really obsessed with clothes. I probably have a little bit of a problem. As far as TV, I really just like trashy reality TV. I mean, I'm really guilty of it. I feel like I watch like every episode of the Kardashians, especially through quarantine, but I also love this show called Ghost Adventures. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's really cheesy. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I absolutely love it, but it's funny. And that's definitely my weakness. I could sit there all day and watch it. It's really good.
You know what's so funny? Like, it's okay because I mean, it's just like reality TV is like it sucks you in. And
It does.
I remember being sucked into it during like the first, like when it first started, like hitting really hard in the beginning, like where you had America's Top
Yeah.
Model and Next Top Model, and then you had like Flavor of Love,
Oh,
and
I forgot about that one. That was
yeah,
a good
and
one.
I
Rock
Love
of
New
Love.
York. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rock of Love, all of that. Like that's when I was watching it.
Oh, yeah.
And me and my friends would talk so much stuff about those people, and it's so crazy when you look back on it, whereas it's like now reality television is just a part of, you
It
know,
is.
the television lexicon, and it's a part of pop culture now. It's normalized, where it's just like I remember when it first started popping off, like it was just the most interesting thing.
And everybody
um
was crazy that
yeah.
was on reality. Like you literally were only, if you were on reality TV, you were crazy. Like that was
Mhm.
it. Or they put like the most craziest, wildest people on there, and you're just like, well, all right, this is it.
Yeah, but something that I do respect though are the people who make the best out of it though.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the ones who, do something, or they have like their own career and then they just sort of branch off from it and just sort of create their own stuff from it. So I do respect that aspect of
oh
it,
yeah,
even though I've sort of drifted away from it a little bit more. But definitely I respect it a little bit, in the sense of people having hustles around it and everything else like that. So
for
that's
sure.
cool. Like, because I know my sister, she at one point she was really obsessed with the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh really?
And and even when you still hear about it in passing, it's like somehow or another what's going on with them even when you don't watch it. So I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's just how normal it
Tabloids.
is.
It is like that. It's everywhere. Like I mentioned, the Kardashians. Like I mean, they changed reality TV like for everyone for that. Like those, they were on freaking for 20 seasons, and like literally like everybody wants to make fun of them like they're talentless, but like man, they kept it going. Like they were very interesting, obviously, for 20 seasons. So I
Yeah.
can't hate on anybody that does reality TV, especially, I mean, people are watching, so that's why they're still on, so you can't really hate on it.
Right. And even with Total Divas and stuff like that, you can't really hate on that either because it brought a new audience to wrestling that otherwise probably would not have paid it any attention. So,
Oh no, for sure. Like I have friends that were like, we never watched wrestling, and then all of a sudden that show came on, and now we're obsessed. And like I've, heard so many people say that. So it definitely did. It definitely did. Brought a new audience to it.
Yeah, so whenever wrestling fans have a tendency to sort of look down on it, I'm looking here like, no, don't look down on it. Like
Mhm.
it really helped a lot of people, get into this thing that we love.
Oh, for
Even
sure.
though I feel like, in wrestling we have a tendency to some people have a tendency to gatekeep it and try to protect it. But at the same
Mhm.
time, if how else is wrestling gonna grow if you don't have, other people who've never heard of it, getting into it? Because I
Right.
love having conversations with my friends who don't watch wrestling, but then they'll watch something like Young Rock, and
Mhm.
then they'll text me and be like, "Oh, I saw this on Young Rock, and is this true in wrestling? And is that true in wrestling?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, like that's the
Yeah.
stuff I enjoy."
Oh yeah.
So definitely, it's cool. So one of the things I did notice about you was your amazing style. Like you came out at Belladonna and you were dressed in like this black and white outfit, and it gave
Mhm.
me. I feel like last month I went to see Cruella, and it
Mhm.
just gave me all the Cruella vibes. Like, what is your
Oh yeah.
inspiration behind your style?
Oh, definitely Cruella. Like that was my favorite villain growing up. And I mentioned that I changed my character a little bit. So when I was at OVW, I was like just like the all out mean girl. If you've ever seen that movie, obviously I
Yes.
was Regina George. And so, but I felt like that was like overplayed. So I'm definitely better as a heel. It's so much easier for me to be hated than it is to be loved. And it's just so much more fun. Just, that's just what I love. So I definitely love more of like the Disney villains. So that definitely inspired me to do my new character. I have a couple different outfits for it. But I just love it. I just want to be like a classy, like fashionable, just like bougie villain that just like that mean everybody wants to be her, but nobody
Hmm.
wants to be in her way. So that's definitely what my inspiration is behind it.
Yeah, Regina George is actually probably one of the most polarizing movie characters in all of movie history because she reminds you so much of so many people that you run across in real life.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
and the fact that you use that as an inspiration, that's really strong. That's a really strong, way to put it. It's like Cruella meets Regina George. It's just
Yeah,
that's perfection,
pretty
actually.
much. I grew up around girls like that. I was never popular in school until probably I was like in high school. I was bullied a lot. And so yeah, I just used all that inspiration for that and just kind of thought back to like how I was treated and stuff like that and just put it all into a character. And then voila, Jaylee.
That's cool. Like that's really cool. And also to sort of speak to being popular, like I really wasn't popular in high school either, especially since my high school that I went to, it was a public school and I had never really been to public school in my whole life. I was just in private school. So when
Right.
I went to so when I went to high school, it was a whole different situation, and everybody kind of treated me like I was just the outcast. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like the older I got and the more confident I got in my own style was kind of when people started really taking notice, and then realizing, that I was just sort of just a stand out person, but not really a standoffish person. And then
Mm-hmm.
people realized I was just a really nice person once they got to know me a little bit more. And then I didn't really reach, I feel like popular maybe in college, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm being really modest, like really just in
Same.
college, because that was really it. Because Berea is small, so it's
Yeah, it
just
is.
so if you were in, the music department, and if you were singing at every event, kind of like I was in two choirs, so I was just singing all over the place all the time. So in a sense I was popular, but not really popular. I don't look at it that way. I was just the girl who liked to sing, and that was
Yeah,
just it. So
I hear ya.
yeah, but
Yeah, I was
ultimately you just got to love yourself.
you do. And
Mhm.
I don't really care what people think about me. I'm me. But it's so crazy because like I'm like one of the nicest people ever. Like I would like give shirt off my back to someone, but people
Mhm.
always tell me I have that face. I just have the RBF always. I look intimidating, and I'm just like people tell me that all the time. I'm like, I thought you were really mean before I got to know you, and I'm like, I mean, I'm used to it now. At that point, I think it's a mixture of like the hair, like my hair's a little different now, but it's like always like bright and like loud and like stuff like that. And I'm always like try to like dress to the nine, always like try to look nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just have one of those faces that, people think I'm that mean girl, but I'm really not. Really nice. I'm a nice lady.
Yeah, like when I actually saw that picture of you, in AEW where you were kind of looking like, yeah, like look sort of like you're looking down on someone.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
like I thought it was beautiful, but then at the same time, you do give off that aura. But I think that's the most important part about wrestling, though, is like you have to make everyone sort of believe that, right? So
Yeah.
mhm.
Oh yeah. Like when I was like doing my photos for AEW, they were like, do nice faces, and they're like, no, don't do nice faces, like you're much better at the mean girl. I'm like, I told you, I'm just that my face just goes better that way. Like when I'm smiling I look awkward. I don't know, it's just it's not a good look for me.
Yeah, see, I know if I was ever an athlete and they tried to tell me to turn heel, it would take a lot of work on my end. Because as you see my face, like
Yeah.
my face just doesn't have it. Like I can't be mean or angry.
You're
I
just
just
bubbly.
yeah, I'm just bubbly, so I just couldn't do it. It would take so much work, like
And
too
I'm
much work.
opposite. Somebody's like, be baby face, I'm like, yeah, this is weird, cool. I'm like, I was not a good cheerleader. I was not a good cheerleader.
Yeah, like it takes a lot for me to not smile at stuff. Like, so
Yeah.
it would take a lot of work, but
I
it's
hear
okay.
ya.
So since you were featured, on AEW Dark, and congratulations, for
Thank
that,
you.
because that's cool.
Yeah.
You were featured recently in a tag team match with Ella Shea against Anna Jay and Ty Conti. So
Mhm.
what was getting that opportunity like, and what was wrestling against those two like? Because those are actually two of my favorites.
It
So
was amazing. I will tell you, from the time that like I got the opportunity to the time I left, it was just a breath of fresh air. Like AEW is doing some really cool things and doing really big things, and they're changing wrestling for good, the good. Um, Everybody was amazing that I met. Like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. Obviously, I've been on WWE a couple times before, but I don't know. I felt a sense of like just calmness at AEW. It wasn't like chaotic or anything like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's chaotic as a wrestler and being in front of the crowd, but I just felt a sense of peace. Ella Shea was amazing. Tay and Anna Jay were awesome as well. They were super nice, and all the girls in the locker room were just really, really supportive. And I was just really grateful and thankful for that opportunity. I just had a blast.
that sounds really great. And I'm glad you had a good locker room experience with the other women too, because a lot of the times people try to put out that narrative that women don't get along, and that's a
Mhm.
lie. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you had that experience and that everyone was welcoming towards you and everything.
Yeah, it was, from, like I said, from the time when we walked in to the time we left. Like it felt like a family. Everybody was just working together. Everybody was nice, like came up and talked to you, and vice versa. Like I felt like I can approach everyone. And it was just such a great experience. Like I'm really glad that I got to do it. Obviously that's somewhere like I really want to be and could see myself. But yeah, even if I don't, like, who gets to say that they've had these opportunities? That's why I just kind of go with like the things that I get to do. I always just go in with a humble heart and just gratefulness, because even if my career ended tomorrow, I've done hella cool things and something I'm very proud of. Um, but yeah, it's definitely, it's a cool life. I can't say that it's not. It's wild. Like when people ask me like what it's like to be a wrestler, it's a wild ride, like 100%.
Definitely. So basically, if you were given the opportunity, to sign with a major company like that, or like, AEW or WWE or Impact, like which one would you necessarily choose if you feel comfortable answering that question?
Yeah, obviously any of them. I just want to do this for a living, so wherever I can, go and be able to perform every week and have that as a full-time career, I would be 100% grateful for any opportunity that I'm given. So honestly, I wouldn't. I definitely want to work for NWA. I'm obsessed with Mickie James. She's definitely one of my idols. So I definitely want to have that opportunity one day, and hopefully sometime soon. So I definitely see myself somewhere like that, and like AEW, definitely with Impact as well. They have a good, group of girls and everything like that. I feel like WWE is just a little bit more challenging to get to these days. But I mean, it's WWE, so who wouldn't want to be there either?
Yeah, I would hope that I would really love it if you went to NWA too, because I could not stop. I'm obsessed with them now ever since I went to Empower. Like,
oh yeah,
I had to do media for Empower for Women's Wrestling Talk.
yeah,
And it's just like being there and in the midst of Mickie James and actually meeting her and talking to her, and in the midst of all of that great women power was just amazing. So it's just like if you ever make it there, and if they do Empower again, which I seriously, sincerely hope they do, I would love it if you were there. Like, oh my God, it was so cool.
I know, I watched it, and Mickie James like is so inspirational, and she really cares about women's wrestling. And that Empower proved that. I've always loved NWA, and I'm really glad that they're making that name for women's wrestling. And Billy Corgan, he really like let her just kind of have that creative juices flowing and do all that. But there's so many good girls too that were on that show. And I'm obsessed with Camille.
Oh my God, me too.
She's amazing. Like that is my dream match. Like I've been trying to say this forever. Like her and I've never met her in person, but we've spoke over social media, and she's freaking awesome. She's super like down to earth and friendly. And I'm like, let's make this happen. Like I've got to wrestle you. Like I want to wrestle her so bad. So, but yeah, NWA, they did a really good thing. And I was really, really, really like proud to be a wrestler.
Yeah, and I hope you get to wrestle Camille too, because that woman is a goddess. Like
I know.
Like if the first time I saw her, she was just like so statuesque and so tall, and I'm just like, you belong on Themyscira with Wonder Woman and all of them.
Yeah.
Like, and just her dominance as a champion, it's just like, it's amazing. So I hope you do get to fight her at some point. Like that would be amazing. So
me too. I feel like I should like tweet NWA every day just to let me wrestle Camille.
Yes,
like,
make it happen.
Even if I just get beat up and thrown around, like that's just like that's my goal right now. That match, like that's one of my like dream matches, other than like Lita and Mickie James. That'd be awesome as well. But yeah, Camille, she's a freaking badass, and I love her. I love her whole demeanor and how she carries herself, and yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, don't be surprised if you see a clip of that part of the interview on my social media and I start manifesting that for you. Like, don't be surprised.
Speak it into existence. That's what I try to do.
Yes.
I just speak it out there and put it out there, and whatever's meant for me will be. But yeah, I'm just all the good vibes I can get from that. I'm down.
Yes, definitely. So who has been your favorite opponent to face so far?
Man, that's a tough one. Who has been? I would probably say it would probably have to be when I wrestled Kairi Sane and Asuka. Those women are freaking amazing. They were so sweet and down to earth, and it was so fun. And their wrestling style is so different from anyone I've ever, been in the ring with. And I would definitely say like it was one of my favorite matches, just to have that experience and to be able to wrestle them. Those women are so, so talented. And again, they were so freaking nice. I can't even begin to tell you how amazing they were.
Like, when did you wrestle them? That's amazing.
It was I think 2019. It was on SmackDown, so I got to wrestle them with Queen Aminata, who's my girl, love her. So her and I that's how we met. We were just in a tag match. Every time I've been on a bigger stage, I've always had a tag match. So I feel like I'm supposed to be in a tag team. For the universe is just, telling me that, because with, AEW, I just had the tag match as well. But yeah, I think it was like back in like May 2019, I believe it was. But yeah, it was really fun.
So that means I probably saw you and didn't even know I saw you.
Well, I had long red hair. That's when like my whole character was a little different. I think I was still at OVW at that time or had just left. So yeah, it's been a couple of years.
That is so incredible. Like that is, oh my God, that's so cool. So it's almost like we're meant to meet because it's
I
just the
know.
fact that I saw you and probably had no clue that that was you, and now here
Right.
you are. Oh my God, that's so amazing. So how exactly do you feel about the state of women's wrestling in terms of what's going on that's for the positive and what could be improved?
Positive, I feel like it's being taken more seriously and so many more women are getting involved. Like I mentioned when my dad was like wrestling, there wasn't a lot of females who wanted to be a wrestler. Like who wants to, like who wants to get beat up and thrown around? I mean, it's super glamorous, but I mean, you can still obviously get hurt. And a lot of women don't want to do that. But the direction that's going, I really, really, really love it. I think that, it there's not much I can say negative about it. I will say that I hope that it can improve. Like there's more, like, companies start taking that and running with it, like Empower and be able to do like all women shows and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the direction that it's going with. So many people's taking it seriously. Most companies are doing really good things with the women's division. And I've heard there's talks of, every company really having a lot of plans to heighten that. So like I said, I think it's a great time to be a woman's wrestler right now.
Definitely. I agree with that. I share that sentiment. And speaking of that, so how did it feel being a part of the Belladonna division Genesis 2? Seeing as, I'm from here in Alabama and I had never, heard or seen anything about an all-female promotion ever. So when I
Yeah.
had heard that it was happening and I was told by a friend, Miranda Morales, shout out to her, when I found
Yeah.
out that that was going on, like a part of me knew I wanted to be a part of it, even though I had never commentated before in my life.
Yeah.
But
You did
like
great.
I just knew I had to be a part of it. So how did it feel being a part of, that in terms of wrestling and just being a part of an all-female show?
It was awesome. I've worked for that company before it was an all female show. Like it was a part of a different company, but it was still, them.
Mhm.
But it was really, really fun. I really enjoy it. Casey Dillon, I met her a few years back from like OVW and stuff like that. So I really enjoy working for her. She really takes care of her people and puts on a really good show. Everybody's really nice and safe, and it just feels welcoming when you walk into that locker room. And there's a lot of women to learn from. There was a lot of big names on that show. And to share a locker room with those women was, anybody that I can just, sit and pick their brains and stuff like that. And, I'm still green, like I'm still like young in the business, and to be in a room full of people that are in the same experience range that I am and like further advanced and signed to companies, it was really, really nice to like share that locker room and just hear everybody's backgrounds and stuff like that and just have a really good time. So
Yeah, it was really cool for me too, just being back there with you guys, because it's just like I remember the first time I did it for Genesis 1, the first one, a couple months ago. And I remember just talking to my dad and talking to my boyfriend about it. Like I just felt like a long time ago, I was like on the outside, sort of watching wrestlers leave, at the VJCC, because that's where we
yeah.
have our wrestling events. So it's just like, or at least the larger WWE type wrestling events. And I
Right.
remember when I was, younger, and even now, I would watch them leave, and sort of, hope that they would come to the fence and
Yeah.
say hi or get autographs and stuff, and wonder what it's like to be back there.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I'm back there with you guys, and it's just like
Right.
the most insane level of what in the world is happening to me right now, because it's like it wasn't my dream at all. Like this wasn't what I ever imagined myself doing, but it just started and now here I am, and I get to be back there, with these, superhuman women, who are beautifully human in their own way too. and to
Right.
be able to talk to you guys, about your life, and be able to make you guys look good with however I can, in my own way, and be able to talk to you guys with this platform too. Like, it never leaves me how amazing that is.
Right. Oh,
And yeah, and I just hope I can continue to do that in some way, shape, or form. Because it's just such a blessing, and I love it so much. And
yeah.
yeah,
It's
and being
awesome.
able to talk to people like you and everyone else that I've talked to is just insane. And I just love it so much. And just being back there with you guys, it's just like, man, like, I'm back here. Like, I'm not an athlete, but I'm still with you guys. Like, what the heck?
Right. No,
It's
it's
insane.
definitely surreal. Because even like when I've been like backstage, like at WWE or like AEW, like um, I still like have to pinch myself, like, oh my gosh, I get to do this. Like I'm around people I grew up watching, like I've shared the ring with like people I've watched on TV and admired so much. And you're right, it's definitely crazy because like I always knew there's something I want to do, but I never thought I would get the opportunities that I have gotten like in a very short period of time. Like I've gotten a lot of opportunity with that. And again, like you said, it's crazy to like be back there and to like get to do this crazy life of wrestling. So it's definitely tough to be in this industry and to be a wrestler, with online and like social media and everything like that. So it's really good that the community, the wrestling community takes care of each other because it's tough. It's a tough life other than the traveling and what you do to your body, like again, you got to have a thick skin to do this as well. So it's really nice to like be in a locker room like that. And to see everybody just, support each other. It's really, really great.
Yeah, you try not to scream in front of people, but on the inside, it's like you're screaming.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Like trying to don't fangirl. I remember the first time I was backstage, I'm obsessed with like Lita. She's been her and Stone Cold. If I ever meet Stone Cold, it's over. Like I'm just gonna like just faint. I'm just literally gonna faint. Those two are my favorite. I remember the first time I was at WWE and she was there. I was like, oh my god, be cool, be really cool. Like I'm like can be like socially awkward anyway. So like I was like, don't make an ass of yourself. Please just like calm down. I was just like stuck my hand out, like, oh my god. I tried not to like fangirl too much. I held my composure. I'm really good at that, but I really want to freak out.
Yeah, it's just like at Empower, like two of my colleagues, Emily May, shout out to her, and TK were telling me all the time, don't just chill out, like it's okay. And I'm just like, but on the inside, my whole face was just like, ah!
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, I just want to scream, I just want to hug everybody, like, oh my god, I love you, you're my favorite. Like, yeah,
Yes.
That's probably what I want to do, but you gotta keep it cool, you gotta play it cool, so you can like I belong here. I'm not some weirdo, I swear.
Yeah, and scream when you get home.
Exactly.
Or get in the car.
I can't believe I met these people.
Yes. So who would you say are your top 5 favorite wrestlers, male, female, or non-binary?
Oh my gosh, this is tough. So I definitely have to say, obviously Stone Cold. He's definitely my favorite. He's not too much of a wrestler anymore. Lita, I will have to say like Mickie James. Of course, Camille. She's amazing. I love me some Alexa Bliss as well. I think she's awesome. Any character that they give her, she definitely just kills it. And then number 5. That's a tough one because there's so many good wrestlers right now in different promotions. I will say too, I'm obsessed with Bryan Danielson, and I'm really, really glad that he is at AEW and just living his best life, doing the dang thing. I'm really glad that he just didn't stop wrestling. He's great. He's a great technical wrestler. He has great character work. And I'm really glad to see CM Punk back. Love him. Love him.
Yes, definitely. And did you see what Bryan Danielson wrote today?
I did. I read it.
Yes, it was so nice. I was just like, this is like the nicest thing any person's ever written.
I know. He's super nice. I've met him a couple times, and he's always just been like a joy in the locker rooms. He's always like smiling and talking to everybody. He always says hello and stuff like that. And I think in some cases, like it's hard, like when you're a big star like that, because you always got something going on your mind. You're always doing something, you're always like busy. So it's definitely refreshing to see him always have that attitude.
Yes, he definitely looks like he's in a happy place. And, and then to be the type of person to go from one workplace to the other and not make it like a whole, animosity type thing.
Right.
Then,
exactly.
It's like, that's great too. Like he just seems like a really healthy person.
Yeah. And I'm sure like it was probably a difficult, decision for him. But I mean, sometimes like you can only do so much in one company, there's only so many people there and, everything like that. So you got to do what you need to do. And obviously there's no hard feelings with him or anyone there. But I think he definitely handled that really gracefully, and very professionally. So
yeah,
kudos
definitely.
to him.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see what he does in this match tomorrow with Kenny Omega.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's going to be lit.
He's a superstar. I swear to God. His whole demeanor, like he's just a star. Like everything about him, like he's just it. He is. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely number one for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been there for a while. But I mean, even like to see him backstage, he just, not only when you see him on TV, when you see him backstage, you're like, dang, that dude's a star. Like he just like carries himself like that. And that's just what it's about. It just really is. And he definitely owns it for sure.
Definitely. So what would you say the future holds for you?
Definitely, I'm just going to keep on trucking, keep trying to get opportunities, keep training. I would love to see myself sign somewhere. Of course, that's my dream. That's my goal. That's just what I want to do. I love to perform. I love being a wrestler. I love having fans and inspiring people, what little I have. But yeah, it's fun. So I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on going. These things just take time, it doesn't happen overnight. So I feel like when it's supposed to happen for me, it will, when it's my turn. I just truly believe in that. So yeah, that's what I want to do in the future. Like I want to be able to like live out my dream, have my dad continue to show all his buddies what I do and how proud of me he is. And I want to be able to like take care of them one day. I want to, be able to like have nice things for my parents. They sacrificed a lot for, our family and stuff like that. So definitely want to make them proud.
Definitely. Well, that's a great goal to have. And I believe you will, you'll reach every last one of those things. And I wish you like nothing but positive energy towards that. Like, I'm really happy we had this discussion. So thank you. Thank you so much, for coming on my show. So if you can, just put yourself over and tell people where they can find you and on social media and stuff, and tell them anything you've got going on, then you're free to do that now.
I am so bad at this. I don't remember my handles. I used to like do my own podcast with my friend and they would make fun of me at the end because I would have to like tell them my handles and they would have to like write it in for me because they were totally wrong all the time. So I believe on Instagram, I'm JLEAM123, I want to say. And then I think I'm just Jaylee on Twitter. And I don't have Facebook for Jaylee, but I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right. It's JLEAM123. Yeah, I was gonna help you out. I looked.
Yeah, thank you. No, because they do, like, seriously, they have to like put it in. I'm like, who reads looks at their handles all the time? Like, I'm so bad. I need help with social media. Like, I'm so bad at it. You'd think I'd be better. I grew up in the era of like having social media, but I'm not.
It's okay. Like sometimes I need help too because I just get nervous and then just forget it. Like right. I was on for Women's Wrestling Talk and I was in charge of saying it one time and just didn't say it. And I was so mad. Yeah, but it was my first time, but it was okay.
You'll fix it. You'll learn from it.
Yeah,
obviously I don't learn from mine because I can never remember. But that's my Instagram. That's what I use mostly anyway. I'm really bad at Twitter. I'm barely on it. I just like to like browse, but sometimes Twitter makes me mad because all the stuff that's on it. So I just really look at pictures and get lost on TikTok.
Yes, me
So
too. Well, thank you so much, Jaylee, for
thank
coming on
you.
the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and I hopefully will have you back on. And
Yeah.
you just continue to keep trucking and just continue to just have a blessed career.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Yes, definitely.